Hari Om Tat Sat. Mandukya Upanishad. Before we review, let us have the Shanti part.
Bhadram karnebhyः shrunuyama devaः Bhadram pashyemakshabhiryajatraः Sthirairangaini stushtuvaagumsastanuभिः Vyashema devahitam yadayuhu Swasti na indro vruddhashravāha Swasti nः पूषा विश्ववेदाः Swasti नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः Swasti no बृहस्पतिर्दधातु Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
The fifth sloka, talking about the Tritiya Pada, Tritiya, the third stage. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapna pashyati tat susuptam. What a beautiful definition it gives. Yatra where supto na kanchana kamayate. Anything, kamam, the desire, and kamayate, there is no desire. Now, no desire meaning, during the awake state, we always have something to think, talk, act. So we have some desire, something to do. So that is not there. Yatra, where na kanchana swapna pashyati, not any kind of dream, pashyati, is looked at or observed or enjoyed. Tat susuptam, that is the deep sleep. So there, the first two steps are not there. Susuptasthana ekibhuta pragnana gana evanandamayo. Susuptasthana, that is the deep sleep state. Ekibhuta, in other words, it appears as if there is only one existence. Pragnana ganam, in other words, the consciousness is neither projecting the awake state, or it's not doing anything, nor is dreaming anything. Gana, understand the word, that's what we were looking at it last time. Yananda bhuka cheto mukha. So it almost looks like that the consciousness is just ready. It can either take the step of awake state or dream state. Cheto mukha, it's almost at the doorstep. Prajna stutiya pada. But it is the susuptasthana, it is the prajna, it itself is the awareness, but it's not reflecting anything. Let me stop here for a few seconds and understand this part. It is so beautiful. So understanding a little more about, if you ask yourself, what is susupta meaning deep sleep state. Last time we had joy of understanding that this is the base, the fundamental state. And still it is not, and we'll try to learn the difference between the two. So that state is a doorway to Susupti, doorway to Jagruta Sthiti, that is awake state. It is also the doorways to deep, to Swapna, that is the dream state. And why does it say so? If that stage was absent, then what will happen? Hari Om, you're dead. That conscious state, but totally inactive, including awareness. Now the word including awareness, we'll try to understand and learn. So the third stage, in which you are neither receiving any external objective knowledge inside you, nor you are enjoying the dream state, which does not exist. So to have either of them, the consciousness acts like a mirror, and on that mirror, the projection of the first state, objective state, in which we desire karma, we satisfy karma. Anything, okay, please do not understand karma to be a sexual desire. Anything of desire, that is karma, anything to do. So that stage exists, and similar state is in your dream state. But both these can exist because the doorway, Cheto Mukha, which is the third state, which is deep sleep state. But then we are further learning that that is not the Tat, that is not Chitta, that is not consciousness. What is the consciousness? What is the difference between third state and the consciousness? The only difference is awareness. In the deep sleep, you are not aware at all. While in the next step, which is the fourth stage, that we will be learning now today. Let's go on to the fourth stage. So understand, first is Jagrut Sthiti, in which we say we are awake and we're getting all the objective knowledge from outside with our 7 mouths and 7 limbs and 19 mouths. And similar is in the dream state, Swapna Sthana, and then in the Susupta, that is deep sleep, both type of experiences are absent. So to say, understand, even though it is not stated, but I'm mentioning, it appears like 7 limbs and 19 mouths are inactive. Understand, once more, 7 limbs and 19 mouths are absent. Now comparatively, understanding it, in Jagruta Sthiti, they are using the sensitive object from outside, they're trying to get in. In the Swapna Sthana, it appears like intransitive. You're dreaming of it, but the objects are not there. Objects appear to be, but they are not there. So once again, the 7 limbs and 19 mouths are used. But in Susupti Sthana, the third state, 7 limbs, 19 mouths, they are inactive. They are there, but they are not doing anything. So neither Jagruta Sthana means awake state, or the dream state, or the Swapna Sthana, they are absent. Understanding, so we are aware of only these 3 stages. Jagruta, that is awake state, Swapna, the dream state, and Susupti, the deep sleep state. And here, when we study the 4th state, then we'll come to know. And really speaking, there is no 4th stage. We'll come to know in a minute. So, understanding this clarity, then we'll go to what is consciousness. Because right now, we are only concerned mainly with the 2 stages, Jagruta Sthana, awake state, and dream state. We are spending our entire life into it. And a few glimpses of deep sleep state. Unless we know this, we will not be in a position to even think of or understand what is the power behind all this thing. What makes all the 3 stages to happen? And that is, if we recall the first lecture on Mandukya, and when we were talking about Rishi Ashtavakra is guiding aspirant Janak, King Janak, and is asking, study very well those questions, because in his mind was geared, is this real or that is real? So he is having only choice out of the 2. Either dream state is real or the awake state is real. So we may say, oh no, somebody may say awake state is real. Most of us will say awake state is real because all the objects are tangible. Tangible means feelable. You could see, you could touch, you can sense, you can hear. We call them real. But remember, initially we learned what Upanishad and scriptural books are talking about. Reality is that which is eternal, which will not change over the time. So any object that you perceive, any experience that you perceive during awake state, that is not real because it is changing second to second. So awake state is not real. Then the dream state, most of us, we know it was just a dream. How often we say that? Because even the objects in the Swapna Sthana, in the dream state, is not real. Not, first of all, they are insensitive. They cannot be cognized. They cannot be perceived. They cannot be understood with this 7 limbs. When we cannot, then definitely we may call it to be unreal. And it is unreal because of what? We call it unreal because we cannot perceive them. But Upanishad call it unreal because it is transient. As soon as the dream is over, the whole scene goes off. And it is not eternal. That's why awake state is not real, and nor is the dream state. That is what Rishi Ashtavakra was talking about. And it is very hard for most of us to understand, but that need to be contemplated over and over and over. Our ego, our memory comes into picture and says, why this thing happened? Why did I lose my job? Why did Corona happen? Why did God is so uncruel, this and that? But mind you, it is not a matter of cruelty or so. Anything which is time dependent, anything which is space dependent, it is Jagat, it is changing. And as soon as it changes, it's not real. So what is that real? What is that permanent, which is beyond time? That is real. And that is what now, understand, I'm taking you to the word gana, pragnana gana. Pragnana, that is the conscious, gana is in a solid, unrecognizable state. Once again, the third, the deep sleep state, it is pragnana gana, because it's lying there like a dead thing. It's not reflecting the awake state, nor it's reflecting the swapna state, the dream state. Just a reflection. Consciousness is not doing anything. But in the swapna, in the deep sleep state, susupta sthana, there is nothing happening. Even there is no senses. It appears like all those 7 limbs and 19 mouths are absent. They are not absent, but they're acting like absent. But the backstage force is, that is consciousness, which is in a gana state, that is inactive. But understand that alone is Chaturmukha, Chetamukha, Chetamukha, that is the doorways to these two, the first two. If consciousness is not there, naturally, your 7 limbs and 19 mouths, no activity, because we call it dead. And the same thing in the Swapna Sthiti. Now comes the next stage. Let's study the 4th one. Dear friends, it will take some time. That these are the stage once, when this 1 hour is over, continuously sit in silence and contemplate yourself. Try to understand what is that state of silence. And here, the state of silence, the deep sleep is silence, but what is the major and the only difference is there is no awareness. In other words, you cannot see or you cannot understand, or you cannot recognize, you cannot be aware that that is the silent state. And with this, we have been reminded over and over and over, enjoy the silence. Still our mind will be running, but at least be aware of what is that silence. And as soon as that awareness exists, you are alive and you are silent. That is the self-recognition. Then in that stage, you will see totally new world appearing. And that world is the main, if I may reluctantly use the word goal of Mandukya Upanishad. Contemplation is a must. But we spend our time, we do pranayama, we do asana, we do yoga nidra, pratyahara, meditation, all those things we do. But we run away right exactly when the silence begins. In the name of completion and finding what to do next. There is nothing to be done. And that's why in Yoga Nidra, we hear the word, nothing to do, nothing to become. To become is also a doing. As soon as the silence comes, just be there. Be awake, alert, awareness, and more you become awareness, the gana, prajna, that intelligence will slowly come out of the gana state, may not be doing anything with the awake state, may not be doing anything with the swapna state. And at the same time, that awake state activity will be going on. Swapna, that is the dream state activity, will be going on, but you will be awake. You will see that I'm dreaming. You will be aware that I'm acting. But 99.9%, in the awake state, we are not awake. Why we are not? Because we are under the compulsion of mind. Mind says you do this. Mind says that the food is so tasty, have 2-3 times. So this is very similar to person under the influence of alcohol. He is walking, but he doesn't have balance. He doesn't know what is he doing. He is not aware of. So very similar stage happen, even though we are not drunk, but we are drunk because we are not aware. And that is also the reason we were asked, avoid multitasking. Even with a single activity, we are not awake. Even though we are awake, but we are not awake. Well, how could we be with multitasking? Your mind is not here nor there. But this is to go beyond the mind. So when you don't know where the mind is running, going, doing, how could you get hold of the mind and start seeing what the mind does? Let us take to the next step. I will just read the translation now. It may make some sense. Try your best to understand. If you do not understand, contemplate on it and feel free to discuss anytime with you. Deep sleep state is the state of deep sleep wherein the sleeper does not desire any object. That is the awake state. Nor does he see any dream. That is dream state. So deep sleep state in which he is neither awake, he doesn't desire or acts or works on any objects. The third quarter, third pada is prajna, whose sphere is deep sleep. Sphere means is zone of activity. There's no activity, but we can still call it. That is the stage on which this thing happened, in whom all experiences become unified or undifferentiated. Now understand, word gana, unified, homogeneous, oneness, you cannot differentiate. That's why he says undifferentiated, with verily a homogeneous mass of consciousness entire, who is full of bliss. There is bliss, but we are not aware of it. Who is indeed an enjoyer of bliss, and who is the very gateway for the projection of consciousness into the other two planes of consciousness, the dream and the awake state. Got it now? The dream and the waking state. This was the fifth sloka. Now we'll go to the next one. Sloka number 6.
Esha sarveshvara esha sarvagnya eshoantaryam esha yonis sarvasya prabhavavyayo hi bhutanam.
Esa sarveshvara, sarva ishvara. Esa sarvagna, 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 gna means knowledge. So let's see. Esha, this one, Sarveshwara, is the ruler of all. At the time of studying Ishavasya Upanishad, we have studied the word Isha, and Isha to be the controller, the ruler, which is knowledge and the intelligence. He is the ruler of all. Isha Sarvagna, this is omniscient, knowing all. Esha Antaryami, this is all knower. Esha Yoni, this is the source. Sarvasya, of all. This is the Yoni. The word Yoni is that womb in which everything happens. So that is that controlling of all. Prabhava Aprayu, origin and dissolution. Origin and dissolution, that is where something begins and something dissolves. The word is dissolution. Please do not use the word destruction. Hi, he, verily, Bhutanam, of all being. So that is that womb in which the origin, the appearance and disappearance, origin and dissolution happens. So what is that Isha, that stage, going back to, let me, so this is the Lord of all, this is the knower of all, this is the inner controller, this is the source of all, and this is that from which all things originate and in which they finally dissolve themselves. I will not be touching the seventh one, but before that, let us understand the I'm trying to understand, recognize if there is anything that I'm missing. So now, okay, let me get out of this. So Rishi, the way Mandukya is guiding us, so first is just telling what is that deep sleep stage. And Pragnanam Ganam, Pragnanam is in a Gana state, is undifferentiable state. Undifferentiable meaning at that time it's not aware of. So going further, then he says that stage or that prajna is Sarveshwara, Sarva Ishvara, controller of everything. It knows it all. How often we use this expression, no matter what you do, God knows it. Don't we all say God knows everything? So that's where the concept of papa and punya comes into picture. That is where the fear has been set in us. That is where the laws of karma comes into picture. But let's not be fearsome of it. Let's try to understand that during awake state, whatever you do, prajna, the ghana state which was undifferentiated, now it is differentiable because you are going through collecting the information about external world. We try to know all about object. And that is what we do. You eat, you work, you play, you walk, you drink. Anything that you do, we are collecting the information from outside. And truly speaking, we know that we know. What do we know? We think that whenever something is proven on a scientific basis, then we understand, oh yes, the earth is round, yes. Earth is rotating around the sun, yes, we know. and we can plug in some formula. But why in the path of elliptical nature? Why there are certain things the way it is? This afternoon, I was just listening to a beautiful conversation that what is the difference between children and us? The word Vishmay was discussed. And the word Vishmay and the Sanskrit word Aggeya, unknowable. And the example was given, and this is a question to all of us, that when you see behind me, there are a lot of greenery, the trees are green. You ask yourself a question, why trees are green? Can science explain the greenery? And people, oh, the trees are green, come on. Yes, but the question is why? Some biologist may say, yeah, because of the chlorophyll. Then why there is chlorophyll? And why chlorophyll is green? Oh, chlorophyll is needed for the plant to survive. Then why we don't have chlorophyll? This mystery will remain a mystery. We will never understand. A gay, unknowable. In other words, the subjective mystery. And what I mean by subjective mystery is that something that you know is knowledge. Something you don't know is ignorance. So we say either there is knowledge or there is ignorance. But there is something else which is unknowable. That is the example I give. And similarly, we will never know what is consciousness, but Rishi is pointing us in that direction. We'll go deep into it, and that is where silence opens the huge door to us. And out of that silence, that huge door, what's going to reveal to us? That I am. Tattvam Asi. So people may say, oh, is that all? I know I am that. You know that you know. But those great scientists, rishis, they dive into oneself. They experience that I am that. They experience the experience which was in the deep sleep state, but with awareness. Pardon me for it may seem too heavy, and at the same time it will appear so simple. Oh, that's all. I know I am that. You know that the heat, the fire is hot. You know. But we have not touched, we have not experienced the fire. How could we even think of Sarveshwara, is the controller of all? We cannot even think of one simple controller, that our mind that is controlling us. Sarveshwara. Every word, we can keep going into the detail and appreciate. This is the control of all. And in the womb of the nature, every Bhuta, meaning every being, is appearing and dissolving. Dissolving meaning it loses the shape and loses the form. Nama Rupa Vyavhara, if you recall, at the time of Shivoham. And once when that thing gets dissolved, there is Nama. And there is no Rupa and has no characteristic. So but that thing I'm saying, it appears where? In the mirror of consciousness. That mirror does not do anything. It just reflects. And on that surface, everything becomes visible. And you can call it force, you can call it intelligence, you can call it power, whatever you call it. But as soon as you call it, what happens? You named it. So Nama, Rupa, Vyavhara are objects. So you cannot even name them. Name it. And further, when the great master is taking in, that is the time it is telling, Tat Tvam Asi, I am that. In the first Mahavakya, it says, Pragnanam Brahma. Prajna, that knowledge itself is the consciousness, is itself the Shivam. That itself is Brahman. And as we have learned many times in class, Brahman is nothing but ever-expanding reality. And what do you mean by ever-expanding reality? That much intelligence is unexplainable, unknowable, agaya. That's why plants are green. Understand that. So what really happens is, when you go out for a walk, be filled with agaya, but that will not hurt you. It will not challenge you. And how come you don't know? More you will not know, more you will come to know that it is agaya, and agaya, unknowable, and that unknowability expands, and that gives you the joy. To a scientist, it will be a challenge. So scientists will try to find out, and please understand, I'm not putting scientists down. Scientists, they are making our objective world comfortable. Time-saving and usability point of view, about comfort point of view. But from the source point of view, Mandukya. What is that source in which he says its womb is such that bhutaha appear, everything appears, and after some time everything disappears, dissolves and goes where? Agaya, Vishmaya, unknowable. And then in that case, why to study? To study to reach to the state of silence. And once we reach to the state of silence, it opens the door and let you experience that. And you will see such a beam of light on you. That doesn't mean that your face will look brilliant. That doesn't mean that you will look more handsome or beautiful. But the experiences of awake state or dream state will not put you through a cycle of happiness and unhappiness, sukham and dukkham, because you are seeing it. What you're seeing it, that this is today, tomorrow it will not be. And you feel it on the stage of life in the form of these three pada: awake state, dream state, and susupta state. And that we get so carried away that whenever there is happiness, we want to hold on to the happiness. But it is transient, we know it. But we are so ignorant. And the example was given that of one person winning the $10 million lottery. And by the time and collection was mentioned, his dream got broken. And then the fellow calls me and he says, is there any way I can go back to the dream so I conclude the dream and know where I will get $10 million? You see this? Transient. And a dream. And so is the entire life. The life, even the awake life. That there you feel the tangible object. But those tangible objects, when you desire more, it may appear to be fulfilling. But the transient object, today is with you, tomorrow it may not be. So when it comes to you, you feel happy. When it goes away from you, you feel unhappy. So you're going through up and down cycle of happiness and unhappiness, sukham and dukkham. People want to know how to meditate. Do so. Whichever method you follow, by any and all those methods, when you reach to the doorstep of silence, just be there. That's all. And thereafter, it's not I who is going to tell you what those experiences will be. It is not the Mandukya Upanishad is going to tell you. But Mandukya Upanishad is such a treasure that is guiding us as to what you are, who you are, koham. And the world which is around us, to which we are holding on so tight, not to lose them. But what will happen, dear friend, when you yourself are not there? Remember that womb in which things appear and things will be dissolved. So during that time of life, if we can reach to with whatever little effort we can, and that doesn't mean every effort will materialize, understand, but ours is to attempt. even if you do not reach to the complete state of silence, complete silence, don't worry. Whatever little silence will happen, in that silence, you will start seeing up and down of the cycle. So when you see the up and down of the cycle, do not be subjected to sukham and dukkam, happiness and unhappiness. But when you are relatively silent, when your eyes are closed and nobody is listening to you, nobody you're talking to, and you're not doing any activity, but you're sitting and you are questioning, what made me happy? We often easily say what made me unhappy, but that is also a false excuse, false blame, false criticism, that such and such person borrowed my money but never returned. It's not the person's fault. It is neither your fault, and still it is your fault because you thought that you own the money. You are just a trustee. For the time being, it came to you, and it was to go away. And it shall go away when the eyes closes. Once the eye closes, it goes away. And still, ignorant person like me will think that, no, but when I die, my children need to be taken care of. You want the money that came to you to be used by your children and children to be taken care of. What if the children didn't know that you have? What if even the children disappeared before you? What if some robber comes and steals? Because we are not aware of Sarveshwar, the all around controller. We are not aware of Sarvagna, omnipresence. And when you say Sarveshwara, it's the controller. You're not really doing it, but your mind thinks that you are doing it. And you are under the influence of your mind. As an alcoholic person is under the influence of alcohol, losing balance and not knowing what does he do. And balance is not physical balance. And almost all of us are drunk person because we are not aware of Pragnana Gana. That intelligence which is the driving force behind awake state, dream state, and even Sushupti state, the deep sleep state. That need to be understood. Not only understood, deeper and deeper realization. Silence is the key. And now, let me throw a very hard reality. Anytime when we want to reach to the state of silence, what we keep doing, we take a mala, a rosary, and we chant the name of the Lord that our mind has learned. A Christian faith person may say Jesus Christ, a Buddhist may worship Buddha, a Hindu Sanatan faith may worship Ram, Krishna, Shiva, whosoever. But mind you, as soon as you name Nama, Rupa, Vyavahar, that means you are limiting it. It cannot be Sarvagna. It cannot be Sarveshwara. Because as soon as you name it, limitations happen. So you will, I'm pretty sure time will come and might have come already. Some of you might have experienced that the stage of silence comes. You even don't know who you are, and definitely not who God is. So almost all the faith have been man-made. But at the same time, I'm not saying quit your faith and go. But I'm talking about the state of silence. And that's why sometimes even in Brahmari or other pranayam, I said, don't chant Om, just say Makar. An entire Mandukya Upanishad is for Om. And that's what we'll be studying. And I will highly, highly suggest, try your best not to miss a couple of lectures following this, because we'll be studying the 7th sloka, which talks about consciousness, Atma, Chaitanya, Brahman, whatever word you use. So dear friends, let me end with Shantipat, and may that silence prevail with all of us. Contemplate on Sarveshwara, Sarvagna, all those words. And the last week we were studying the word Bhadram, Shivoham. All right, let me kindly be aware of the Shantipat and let us do that.
भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैः स्तुष्टुवागुंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः
Hari Om.